Hey everyone, we are adding speakers to the stage. Thanks for tuning in.
Hello, everyone.
Hey Julie.
Hey. Thanks for all speakers to coming on the stage today and all the listeners right now. We just literally started, and thanks for so many audiences waiting for our AMAs. Yeah, let's add the speakers on the stage.
All right, I think we got most of them. Let's see. Chase from Beam, I think is just the last one missing.
The Chase is on the speaker. On the
Perfect. Do we have everyone?
on the listener list, I think. Yeah.
Let's upgrade him.
Yes. So Chase would be great if the Bindex, so the official account, be on. We'll invite them it at the speaker as well, so people can see and follow it. But if not, still good. We're gonna start our AMAs. All right. So for me, on my side, I could see all the projects, but they are all listed as speakers. No, as listeners. So as like Alex. If not, can you guys say something? Or, for example, Alex, can you request to speak?
Hi, I'm here.
Okay. Then I think it's good. So, yeah. So, hello everyone. If everyone's here, then we're gonna start today's AMA session. So, unlocking $1.5 trillion in native BTC liquidity. So today we're gonna talk about next wave of BTCFi. So thanks everyone. My name is Julie, the community lead at ZetaChain. So super excited to host this discussion with our amazing speakers from our ecosystem and also the projects that are leading the BTC DeFi thoughts. So yeah, today we have Jason from Avalon Labs, Jan from iZUMi, JJ from pumpBTC, Aggregato from Bitsmiley, and Chase, who's the founder of Bindex, and our co-worker Alex at ZetaChain. So do you guys want to say hi and test the mic? If
Hey, I can possibly go first. My name is Jan. I'm the core contributor at iZUMi Finance. Super awesome to be here. Thanks for inviting us. So basically, we build a concentrated liquidity style DEX on ZetaChain, and we bring liquidity from other ecosystems.
Nice. Thanks, Jan, to join us. What about?
Hi, I'm Ari from Bitsmiley, and then I'm mainly in the marketing team. So I'm in charge of like the marketing campaigns and like community building and stuff like that. And I'm very happy to be here today and like discuss with you guys about like the next wave of Bitcoin Fi. Yeah.
Sounds great. Chase, do you want to go next? Or Jade?
Yeah, sure. Can you guys
Yeah.
hear me okay? All right. Yep. So I'm Chase. I'm the lead over at BeamDex. We just launched really about a week ago, and we are a concentrated liquidity cross-chain DEX. So we're looking to leverage ZetaChain's technology to move all around different, just enable different native swaps. And we are currently also building the first VE33 DEX on ZetaChain.
Sounds good. Thank you, Chase, for joining us. And JJ.
Hey, you guys hear me?
Yes, super clear.
Okay, great. Yeah, my name is JJ, Chief BD from pumpBTC. So pumpBTC is a liquid staking protocol designed for Bitcoin holders who want to maximize the utility for their assets without sacrificing the liquidity. So by staking Bitcoin and its derivatives, users can get one-to-one packed liquid token pumpBTC, which they can deploy across various of DeFi protocols to earn real yields. So that's pretty much what we do. And great to be here.
Sounds super promising. Thanks, JJ. And Alex.
Hi everyone. Name's Alex. BD here at ZetaChain. Great to be here.
Great. Okay. All right. So yeah, today we're here to talk about how Bitcoin is becoming more interoperable and accessible in DeFi. So the BTCFi space is booming with projects unlocking the native BTC liquidity to power new applications and bring BTC to multi-chain future. So thank you again for all the speakers and all the listeners today joining us. So we've set up a 300 Zeta prize pool. So stay tuned till the last minute so for your chance to win. All right, so let's start. First, I'll just pass the mic to Alex. So as the BD manager, you must know ZetaChain, the ecosystem, and everything super well. So ZetaChain has been on the forefront of blockchain interoperability. So Alex, could you share ZetaChain's mission and how it differentiates itself from other blockchains, please?
Absolutely. So pretty much ZetaChain's the first universal blockchain with native access to Bitcoin, ETH, as well as a number of other chains to offer seamless UX and unify liquidity to the next billions of users in Web3. Our universal EVM is pretty much enabling universal apps that can operate natively across any blockchain, and our mission is to build the universal blockchain with native access to any blockchain. In Web3, the common vision is pretty much to onboard the next billions of users. I don't think anyone has quite done that. I think a lot of Web3 solutions has actually fragmented Web3 even more. And the current users that we're only attracting are the only users in Web3 that we've only continued to attract. So ZetaChain, again, our mission is to have native access to any blockchain, making our UI UX much more accessible, diverse, and connected as the internet.
Sounds good. Thanks for the introduction. So yeah, after everyone has some brief understanding about this, so next let's dive into the broader ecosystem question. So for this round, just like feel free to jump on the stage anytime or just like pass. We have a lot of questions today. So the first question would be, how do you envision BTC's role involving in the DeFi ecosystem, and why did you start building with Bitcoin on ZetaChain? Who would like to be first?
I can go first. In my mind, I feel like we're sort of at a crossroads with Bitcoin, or I should say a kind of a precipice. Like we're looking down at just basically, I don't want to say global, but just widespread mainstream acceptance of Bitcoin, right? Because if you look at Bitcoin's history, it's always been sort of pushed to the fringes, and most of us who hold have been holding through media just craziness against Bitcoin and just calling it a scam, and it's used by terrorists and all this other stuff. And it's just now, I feel like this is really the first kind of cycle where there's like people are starting to really come around, and now we've got proposals of nation states that are going to start holding Bitcoin, companies that following the sailor strategy. And I think that once people kind of like accept Bitcoin as kind of what it should be, which is a store of value and safe hard money, it's going to open a lot of doors that I'm not sure if Web3 is like fully accepted yet. Right now it's a buy and hold. But at some point, when that like acceptance comes, in my mind again, people are going to kind of look for what's next. I mean, I don't know if about you guys, but like I got into DeFi originally from mining, right? So I mined, I had these tokens, and I'm like, okay, cool. And I wanted to kind of see what was more. I think when people start acquiring Bitcoin because they're told it's the right thing to do instead of the wrong thing to do, they're going to look for that next step. And I think that's where kind of Bitcoin Fi is going to come in, where they're going to want options for leveraging this Bitcoin for their own gain in some way.
Sounds good. Yeah. Glad to hear someone who just like started the BTC story from mining. So it's like really, insightful piece. So next one.
Hi, I can talk about like what I think about Bitcoin's role, like as everybody can see, like especially like the past few probably just the past like 10 days or so, like the market has been like crazy. And also like yesterday, Bitcoin's price like literally dropped a bit more than what we expected. So like you can definitely see Bitcoin's role being super important within like the crypto um space and also financial space, especially like DeFi. So I definitely still believe in we should put more use cases to Bitcoin and also like build Bitcoin ecosystem more than before, just because it is definitely recognized within both like crypto world and then financial world that it is a very important asset. So I would like to think that it's pretty much the foundational asset within DeFi. And um, I feel like the reason we choose to like be building on ZetaChain is because that way we can enable Bitcoin's functionality across like the the main chains without like having to wrap or bridge Bitcoin itself. So it's kind of preserving Bitcoin's um, nature, and also users are more comfortable with that, like using it that way. If you have to ask like to bridge or wrap, sometimes we will lose a lot of users in that process. That's how I feel, especially when we were building Bitsmiley, and then we were collaborating with some Bitcoin's layer twos, and we can definitely see that a lot of users are getting kind of frustrated with the whole process of wrapping and bridging. Yeah, that's my opinion on this.
Sounds good. Absolutely good point. Next.
Yeah, I want to briefly touch upon this question. So I think the perception of Bitcoin and also the adoption of Bitcoin slash ETH is somewhat different because I believe Chase just mentioned. I'm not sure if it's him, but Bitcoin is more seen as an asset that stored value. So I think it provides stability in terms of long term holding. And ETH, most people compare ETH to the ultrasound money, and people seek yield from it. So I think it's a different kind of perspective, and we would love to see the adoption of like Bitcoin and Bitcoin related assets being getting more attention like from these ecosystems and from these DeFi protocols as well. I think most importantly, let's be more realistic in terms of answering this question, because all the ETH LSTs and liquid staking programs has been running for a year or so, and people started to cash out like from all these like points program, and after DTGs of some of these like protocols and projects, people start to switch attention to a different type of asset to to remain active in the DeFi farming space or in the liquidity farming space. So I think that would add up to the potential that the Bitcoin assets can bring. But in general, I guess the Bitcoin ETF approval definitely brings like the perception of the perception of like Bitcoin assets, and it definitely brings potential to new opportunities. That's more importantly.
Thank you so much, JJ. Super well said. Yeah. So next, I believe it's
Oh,
iZUMi.
I'm Yon, by the way.
Yeah,
Next is
Jan.
JJ.
Oh,
I'm coming
sorry.
up.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Thanks, Jan. Yeah.
Well, I guess it's my turn. So I figure, Bitcoin's role in DeFi is evolving from being a passive asset of, passive asset as everybody, has been talking about, to becoming a key player in the DeFi ecosystem. So historically, BTC has been a store of value, but with the rise of, liquid staking and cross-chain integrations, it is now possible to unlock the Bitcoin's liquidity and use it actively in DeFi. This includes, generating yield, providing liquidity, and participating in various of DeFi applications. So that's exactly what we do at pumpBTC, and we chose to build with Bitcoin on ZetaChain because it offers a pretty streamlined, more secure alternative to traditional Bitcoin layer twos. And as Alex just mentioned, I believe ZetaChain's universal EVM enables native Bitcoins to interact directly with DeFi protocols across multiple blockchains. So that kind of eliminate the need for wrapping or centralized custodians. So that's why we figure it's perfect fit for Pump BTC's vision to unlock Bitcoin's full potential in the DeFi sector.
All right. Thank you so much, JJ. Yeah, so next, let's move on to the next question. So I believe just as Aggregato mentioned that the BTC rolling from almost to 100K last week. So with so many attention on BTC from the users and increasingly from the institutions globally. So what kind of opportunities do you foresee for BTCFi projects? And also how do you see BTC's increased adoption and price impact the overall BTC-fi landscape, like infrastructure, dApps, and more. Can also relate it to your own project or ZetaChain.
I can take a stab at this. When it comes to this, I think I've always been a big proponent of my own little theory that I have with this government, with a lot of interest from institutions and governments. I think looking at the whole macro picture, um, overall, renewable energy, sustainable energy has overtaken natural energy, fossil fuels, and nuclear energy. I think there is always going to be increased demand for sustainable energy now. So my biggest hunch is that a lot of the world's assets, if we look at fiat currency, is mostly backed by nuclear energy, gas, fossil fuels, etc. I think renewable energy and sustainable energy will be here to stay, but it's going to weaken the demand for the overall dollar that's backed with fossil fuels. Um, and over the past couple months, as we've been seeing Bitcoin's price action recently, I think this makes a stronger case to really hedge the US dollar as well as potentially other fiat currencies against Bitcoin. How this translates into DeFi, one is I think Bitcoin is now entering the vertical part in the S curve for any innovation or really any sort of innovative technology. I think we're in the stage where Bitcoin is now going to start ramping up, and that will look like through adoption, that will look through perhaps strategic reserves as well. But I think besides strategic reserves being the whole buzz of the market, I actually think it's going to be collaterals, using native Bitcoin as collateral in TradFi and perhaps also in DeFi as well. I think because DeFi is still sort of this wild west where we're not quite as tightly or fully regulated as TradFi, there is a lot more room to experiment with native Bitcoin in a lot more experimental use cases. This being, having native Bitcoin as collateral in certain money markets, as CDP stablecoins, like we have with Bitsmiley here, as well as other certain use cases. So I think with Bitcoin, we're definitely going to see an expansion in DeFi, but now we are going to pivot towards a native solution. I definitely do think from before until now, it's been a lot of wrap solutions. And as there's been more layer ones and layer twos, we've seen over 10 different variants of Bitcoins. We've seen so many different variations of Bitcoin, but I think the solution here is going to be the one that uses native Bitcoin, and being able to use it as collateral in the DeFi, in DeFi.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Alex.
I
Yeah.
want to piggyback off of that just real quick because Alex touched on a lot of interesting kind of topics. One thing that I kind of think about is we if we have this sort of global adoption, right, and it's looking to be moving in that direction, it's going to be really hard to predict kind of where we go from here. Like if let's say the best case scenario happens and all of these large scale institutions, sovereign governments and all this stuff begin to kind of wake up and all of a sudden everybody wants this, when you think about it, very finite sort of resource, right? And I mean, this is kind of why there's the strategic reserve to begin with. I mean, the Bitcoin's gotten enough credibility, right, for these institutions to realize, okay, this is like the whole idea of a scarce resource is, you know, at least in the financial field, I think is being renewed as something that's valuable. But let's say all that happens. At the moment, I'm not sure the average user gives too much. Well, I mean, if you're a Bitcoin maxi, you will. But aside from them, you know, the difference between like native Bitcoin, wrapped Bitcoin, like it kind of there hasn't been major peg situations with wrapped Bitcoin. I think it dropped what 5% for a little while at one point, but like nothing like what we see with the stable coins, right? Where we've had these sort of very dramatic depeg situations. But in a best case scenario, in like a hyper Bitcoinization kind of situation where all of a sudden everybody wants this thing and there's only so much of it. And I can't predict the future, but I can't help but wonder if those wrappers, those non-native sort of solutions that Alex alluded to, you know, how well they're going to hold up, right? Because at the moment, everything's just fine. But if everything just suddenly, you know, goes parabolic, people might start to really, you know, there could be some situations where wrappers may not be as you know well backed as we all thought. I mean, we've all lived through custodian issues, you know, in the last cycle, and so a lot of people right off the bat are wary of custodians. And so when you have something that is a native solution, I think that that's a massively underappreciated kind of you know characteristic of ZetaChain in general.
All right. Thank you so much. I think it's a really good adding on and a hot take, I would say. Yeah. Should we move on to either Bitsmiley, iZUMi, or pumpBTC?
Yeah, sure. I definitely agree with like whatever Chase and Alex said about this, and I just want to add on to we should definitely like try and build more Bitcoin ecosystem, because as we're bringing a lot more attention, especially within the financial aspect, and everybody's like keeping their eye on Bitcoin, and so that there's a lot of Bitcoin holders, they probably don't want to sell it because they strongly believe in the values of Bitcoin itself. So um, us, like, we are the stablecoin project. In a way, we can help the users to give them a platform so that they can over collateralize their asset without like selling them, and they can mint BitUSD, which is our stablecoin. And as we're enriching the Bitcoin's ecosystem, so we can definitely give more use cases to Bitcoin holders, and they can see more values of holding their Bitcoin instead of selling it. So that probably potentially adds even more values to Bitcoin itself. And that's what we're building. And also, like, collaborating with ZetaChain can definitely help and enhance that kind of connections and even promote Bitcoin more to just the current Bitcoin holders. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yep, I can go next. So I can narrow down this to more towards the BTCFi sector. So, as Bitcoin's adoption continues to grow among especially retail investors and also institutions, with Bitcoin cementing itself as a global asset, BTCFi projects can offer more diverse solutions to unlock its liquidity and also, integrate it into the broader DeFi money Lego, if you will. So from yield generating protocols to multi-chain applications, that the demand for Bitcoin based financial instruments is only going to increase. So as adoption grows, we expect to see a greater focus on secure cross-chain solutions, improved user experience, and also partnerships that bridge Bitcoin with other ecosystems. And that's exactly what all of us are doing. And yeah, so that's actually the direction we see, and that's the direction we are working towards.
All right, thank you. Um,
Yeah, sorry. Can you I kind of lost.
mhm.
Can you let me know the question
Oh
again?
yeah, for sure. Um, so we are talking about BTC, especially so many attention. So how do you think the BTC's increasing attention would bring the whole ecosystem? Like what kind of effect? For example, to the infra, to the dApps, or to the whole DeFi, the landscape.
Oh, I think from our perspective as a DEX, so definitely the adoption of Bitcoin and Bitcoin related assets can boost TVL, can boost liquidity, so that more liquidity flows in to a single or to multiple ecosystems. It helps with the thrive of other ecosystem assets as well. Like for example, some of the let's say like ecosystem tokens from ecosystem projects, and also tokens from um, let's say like some long tail assets. So I remember back in the first half of 2024, we kind of did the collab with Manta Pacific, where users can subscribe to a launchpad project with some of the LC assets from Stickstone, I believe, and that could significantly boost the use cases for some of the most adopted liquid staking assets as well. So I think the name of liquid staking kind of signifies the use of it. So it releases liquidity for everybody, not just from a trading's perspective, but also from the participation in the ecosystem kind of perspective. So yeah, that could drive that contributes to the amount of people who want to get into the ecosystem and be a an active part of the ecosystem, not just sit there and farm. So I think it's some of the proactive approach that these holders of liquid stake assets can take.
Thank you so much. Super well said. So yeah, let's now move on and talk about the BTC interoperability. So what do you see as the biggest technical or structural barriers to make BTC more accessible across different blockchain ecosystems? And what do you think that would be the solution would be? So this one could definitely relate it to your own project and ZetaChain. But if you mention something before, we can just like move quite fast and quickly. Right? Feel free, anyone.
Yeah, I can jump in. I mean, previously, the most common way of moving between Bitcoin and anything else would have been, a centralized exchange. And so, I mean, that's kind of where ZetaChain comes in. it really kind of opens up a lot of opportunities to move liquidity. I mean, that's what we're talking about tonight, right? Moving that massive Bitcoin liquidity to and from where it is now. And so, that's kind of where Beam comes in. You can, through one click, swap between Bitcoin and every supported chain on that ZetaChain supports, right? So that's kind of a big thing. I mean, that's one of the barriers at the moment is kind of moving that liquidity. And since ZetaChain has enabled that, I would say it's more kind of making sure people know that the option exists. And so, yeah, I mean, the mobility is a big thing.
Thank you so much. And yeah, super excited for the collaborations and later on further more potentials to build things together. All right. Who would like to
Yeah,
be?
I can go next.
Yeah.
Well, as for us, the biggest barrier we figure is uh, the the lack of native smart contract capability in the Bitcoin ecosystem. So that makes integrating Bitcoin into other blockchain networks more complex. So traditional solutions like wrapped Bitcoin rely heavily on the centralized custodians like BitGo or MPC schemes, which introduce trust and also security risks. So most cross-chain solutions involve really complicated multi-step processes that discourage users participation and also hinder Bitcoin's liquidity efficiency. So the solution actually lies in simplifying these interactions while maintaining decentralization and also security. So this is exactly where ZetaChain plays a critical role. So by enabling native Bitcoin to directly interact with DeFi protocols across multiple blockchains, ZetaChain, I believe you guys eliminate the need for wrapping and centralized custodians. So relate to us, pumpBTC, we leverage the technology to offer a seamless staking experience for Bitcoin holders, especially allowing them to unlock liquidity and also engage with DeFi in a single user-friendly step. So this approach not only makes Bitcoin more accessible, but also ensures its utility is maximized across the multi-chain ecosystem. So yeah, that's why we always fond of ZetaChain and would like to work with you guys as now.
Thank you so much. Super well said. And yeah, definitely excited for like more collaborations and big things. So next.
I think the biggest barriers are probably like everybody else mentioned before, and also I've mentioned a few times before as well. Like the Bitcoin native ecosystem has kind of lack like smart contract functionalities, and it relies heavily on bridges and layer twos and stuff like that. So that kind of compromises the security, and a lot of users just find it like not trustworthy, and they don't want to go extra miles and do things like that. They'd rather interact with native Bitcoin transactions and stuff like that. So I think like collaborating with ZetaChain can really change that, so that we can bring more liquidity to potentially Bitcoin, and like release more liquidity within like the native Bitcoin ecosystem, and really help users to utilize Bitcoin securely and effectively as well. Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for the Bitsmiley. Yeah, we are trying really hard to get you guys, more on board so we can probably having more things later on to discuss and showcase together. I believe it's
Yeah, I wouldn't say a barrier, but I kind of agree with what all the guests were basically saying. So the biggest concern for us is that like I just mentioned, holders of BTC and holders of BTC LSTs, they're kind of seeking stability. So I would say like safety is or security is the number one issue. So we've actually partnered with some of the um, Bitcoin liquid staking platforms that offers MPC solution and also trustable custodian for storing BTC assets. So I think that's the most important thing. And yeah, I think it's just a little bit different, like from the user perspective, like holders of BTC and holder of ETH. They're essentially pursuing different approaches because ETH holders are more towards let's say like high yield and alpha, and Bitcoin holders instead they seek stability and long term commitment in terms of receiving incentives for providing liquidity. So yeah, that would be the biggest barrier, I would say. And also, one thing that I want to mention is that the adoption of Bitcoin for the retail users are not like as high as we expect, because people tend not to hold Bitcoin because the upside of Bitcoin is just not appealing to them. But if you're a well, you should prefer Bitcoin in this matter, I would say.
All right, thank you so much. So now let's go for more project specific questions. So I do have customized question for each project. So next, first it's iZUMi. So Yond, so Omi Chain liquid staking is one of iZUMi's specialties. So how does it work with native BTC, and what kind of opportunities does it create? Can you share with us?
Yeah, sure. So I think that's a highlight. That we shine in these multiple ecosystems that we bring.
Absolutely.
No matter if it's Bitcoin LSTs or ETH LSTs, is that we offer concentrated liquidity. So which means that users can customize their price range between two correlated assets. So let's say if you're providing USDT to USDC as liquidity, essentially you will set them, the exchange ratio like between a very narrow range, like let's say like from 0.99 to let's say like 1.001, and that happens the same like to all the ETH and to all the Bitcoin and Bitcoin LSD assets, because simply most of these assets, they have fixed exchange ratios, which means that the concentrated liquidity will work perfectly with these pairs. So the narrower these price ranges are, essentially you have like higher capital efficiency, right? So higher capital efficiency means like deeper liquidity, and also means like more traction to the traders then, because essentially they can trade between these assets with the minimum slippage and price impact. So that encourages them to to trade on chain. So this model actually has been proven by some of our experiences, like on running multi-chain strategy for ETH and ETH LST assets, and it works. I believe it works quite well with the Bitcoin and Bitcoin LSTs as well. So these are the things that we provide, and this is how the concentrated liquidity style decks can stand out. So people would ask like, why don't you like just use Uniswap, right? So Uniswap also has like a concentrated liquidity like model, and it's like the most trusted DEX as well. So the question, the answer is pretty simple. So we offer incentives, right? So most of the liquidities farming strategies that we develop with all these Bitcoin and Bitcoin Fi projects is that we offer extra incentives. So this is like an extra layer of boost, like on top of Uniswap. In addition, we kind of work like very similar to a concentrated liquidity style DEX, but we actually call our AMM discretized liquidity. So it's a little bit different from the concentrated liquidity, where users can set users can pretty much provide liquidity at each price bin. So if you're familiar with Uniswap V3's model, you would know like what a bin is, what a price tick or a price bin is. So we kind of like advanced the model to the next level so that the capital efficiency is even higher than let's say like Uniswap V3. So yeah, these are just a little bit of add-ups like to what we actually offer. But simply put, we are offering higher yield and higher capital efficiency.
Gotcha. Thank you. Very clear explanation. And also, can you share any yield optimization strategies for those BTC holders?
Oh, right now, I don't think we have any yet, but like with the adoption of like Bitcoin Fi assets coming into like ZetaChain, we'll have more opportunities. We actually have like a couple of pools that are live on Zeta with the Zeta token, but not like with the Bitcoin like related assets.
Gotcha. Thank you. All right. So next for Pump. So JJ, so pumpBTC is pioneering the BTC staking protocols. So how does integrating with ZetaChain enhance the cross-chain functionality and improve user experience for staking and DeFi participation? I think he just can we invite Pump back on the stage? Yeah, we'll pass next to Bitsmiley first. So Bitsmiley has already made significant strides in BTCFi with its stablecoin initiative. So what steps are you guys gonna take to onboard more BTC holders and ensure liquidity for BitUSD across different blockchain ecosystems? I know you guys announced the TGE this month, so congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much. And for that question, we were like currently focusing on like onboarding Bitcoin holders through campaigns that kind of highlight how BitUSD can unlock Bitcoin liquidity without selling it. And at the moment, as you can see, like we're currently collaborating with you guys, ZetaChain. So for the next step, we're definitely thinking about like onboarding our users to try out ZetaChain and then see how we can actually release more liquidity within like Bitcoin native chain instead of like on the layer 2s. And also we are actually kind of thinking about collaborating with even more layer 1s, but I'm not really sure about the next steps on that kind of side, so I'm not sure I can share more details of that, but that's what we're looking into, just to try and release and expanding the Bitcoin's liquidity onto many other chains, and that's what we have been building as well, but we're just shifting it back to the native chain instead of like layer 2s like how we were doing before. And still we're currently like building our communities and still trying to promote the ideas of asking users to understand over collateralizations. They can just without selling their Bitcoin, they can have real assets and put them into uses if they want to. So yeah, some ideas like that.
Sounds good. Sounds good. If you want to add on more later on for like further steps or roadmaps
Yeah,
or any other thing, please go ahead.
yeah, sure. Thanks.
Yeah. So let's invite Chase on the stage for now. So Bean is redefining decentralized trading in BTCFi. So Chase, how does Bean leverage the BTC liquidity and ZetaChain's interoperability to create a seamless trading experience? And also, what kind of unique features set Bean apart from the other DEXs? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah, I mean, again, we're leveraging ZetaChain's ability to interact with native Bitcoin chain as well as other EVMs and soon other layer ones to basically make it a one-click swap across whatever chains that Zeta supports. And so what this does is this unlocks, there was a mention earlier that, Bitcoin holders and ETH holders are fundamentally different. And in most cases, I agree with that, but I do think there's also some overlap. I do think that the buy and hold Bitcoin maxi still probably wants to dip their toes into DeFi, and I'm sure if they enjoy the experience, they'll put a whole foot in and a whole leg. And the ETH DeFi, typical DeFi user, especially as Bitcoin continues to gain institutional and nation state awareness and interest, I believe that they're going to start to maybe put Bitcoin in a different class that that maybe it wasn't before in their own mind. All right. So anyway, I see a sort of a merging of these two groups over the course of time, which would open up the door for this kind of emerging Bitcoin 5 landscape. And so I think there's going to be a pretty big demand for being able to move that liquidity from Bitcoin to EVMs to and back again, right? People might want to keep their Bitcoin in through bear markets and pull it out, for the bull markets, or who knows, I mean, everyone's going to have their own goals, but basically Beam wants to be there to enable and facilitate that mobility. And we focused on capital efficiency. Our pools are all algebra integral concentrated liquidity pools, and what that means is that they have dynamic fees. And so if there's not a lot of volume, the fees drop to basically make the trade more attractive to aggregators and to traders. And if it's a time of high volatility, the fees go up to increase profit for the liquidity providers. And so it's always looking to optimize the profit rate for liquidity and for traders, because it ends up still coming in under what you would typically see on other dexes. And so that's one part of it. And again, like I said, we're also building a VE33 dex on top of Beam, because as I expect that ZetaChain, as it expands, is going to end up becoming the sort of primary landing spot for Bitcoin holders, right, who are kind of venturing out from native Bitcoin chain. I mean, if ZetaChain is the one that enables them to do this from a decentralized standpoint, then it makes sense that they would stay as long as there's things to do, right? And so VE33 DEX, we're going to have all the ecosystems that are currently on ZetaChain, in one place, trading activity and all that. So, we expect to be part of that ZetaChain growth and development as time goes on.
All right, thank you so much, Chase. And we're super glad that today we have like BeanDex and iZUMi both on the stage, and both have like different strategies, but those are like beneficial for the users and also increasing the liquidity on ZetaChain and the whole ecosystem. So glad to have both of you on the stage today. We might have some technical issue for the pump, but let's then pass the mic to Alex first. So ZetaChain has the potential to bring $1.5 trillion in BTC liquidity into universal apps. So Alex, can you share your own vision on how ZetaChain can leverage this liquidity to drive BTC adoption into DeFi, and what kind of use cases do you think that will emerge or already happening on ZetaChain?
So I think there's a couple things to this. I think first we need to have a more, I think we're starting to have a mature DeFi ecosystem, right? One that utilizes a lot of cross-chain applications, such as Beam and also Bitsmiley here. I think getting the fundamentals right first are some of the most important ones. Being able to enable the one-click native experience with native Bitcoin and the EVM experience as well, without the user without the user having to connect or switch networks between so many other EVM and other potential networks as well. We want to basically aggregate all these different networks that we're connected to and provide that one-click experience. So that's one. So how do we enable that? So a lot of that is through DeFi, in my opinion, and then a lot more experimental features, whether that be NFTs or gaming or maybe some other verticals that we want to pursue. But I think for native Bitcoin, I think for any chain, we need to get the swap right. Every chain needs to have a DEX, a flagship DEX. Just getting the basics down. And I'm very glad to have BeamDex joined here for us to really enable that native BTC side of things as well, using concentrated liquidity pools. And then there's also money markets with Avalon, and there's Bitsmiley with BitUSD. There's just so many other use cases with native Bitcoin that can be used on ZetaChain. I think after this stage of DeFi, now it's how do we introduce this use case where any user can deposit and connect their Bitcoin wallet and deposit native Bitcoin across other verticals that are not just DeFi. I think we've been experimenting with in other ecosystem, you can use wrap Bitcoin and other equivalents, but we want to introduce native Bitcoin utility into some of these already existing use cases. I don't think it has ever been done before. And if there's anyone listening and you think you're the right team to build this for us and you think you're going to be the first to go to market with this, then definitely get in touch with me. But yeah.
All right, thank you so much. And yeah, all the beaters and listeners who speak listening, I saw like actual several good projects and beaters on the listening stage. So definitely keep in touch to with Alex and stay tuned. All right, so now we have Pump on the stage. So JJ, can you say something? But if not, let's move on to the next final question. So yeah, so for ZetaChain and everyone, so what's next for BTCFi on ZetaChain? I guess this one, everyone can just share like an upcoming like roadmap or features that will be happening for the project features that would deepen the BTC utility and adoption. All right. So Alex, do you want to go first, or do you want to wrap it up at the beginning, at the end?
Sure, no, I can go.
Okay.
I think I said it previously as well. What's really next for BTCFi on ZetaChain is really honing in on the next use cases, more focused on DeFi, but other experimental use cases as well that we think can reach virality. It's about testing and really go to market. I don't think anything like this has ever been done before. Being able to extract all these layers and being able to really enable that one-click experience, connect your Unisat wallet or your other Bitcoin wallets and do whatever EVM, do whatever application that you've been doing in EVM previously. I don't think that's ever been done before. So I think that's really what's next for BTCFi on ZetaChain. I would also closely look at the markets. If there's any sort of innovation that's happening in TradFi, I think it's much faster to ship it in DeFi and in the crypto space, in the entire Web3 space in general as well.
All right. Thank you so much, Alex. Whoever would like to go next to share the exciting roadmap to us.
Yeah, I can go. So, I mean, like I said, we're live for only about a week. I mean, we're fresh out the oven, but We have our what we call the phase one is functional, which is the actual cross chain swapping. Our pools, our liquidity pools, are limited to just those pools to enable that cross chain swapping. But as I mentioned, we're currently developing our phase two, which is the VE33 DEX side of the house. And that would be, of course, the only VE33 that has a sort of native Bitcoin piece to it, right? Because we want to continue to expand the ZetaChain ecosystem and grow and just give it a sort of vibrancy and basically give this Bitcoin liquidity a reason to move off of native, right? I mean, again, I could see ZetaChain becoming the sort of playground of Bitcoiners, which would be a wonderful thing for everyone involved. So that's where we are.
All right, thank you so much, Chase. Super well said, and looking forward to it. Definitely. iZUMi and Bitsmiley.
Yeah, we can go next. So one of the important steps in driving the adoption of Bitcoin related assets is not only bringing the um, Bitcoin LSTs to the multiple ecosystems, but also some of the stable coins that are backed by Bitcoin and Bitcoin LSTs assets as well. So I think the main the next step for us, the main next step for us is to kind of drive the adoption of such assets and bring liquidity all over ecosystems. And aside from that, I think from the product's perspective, we don't have much to offer till the end of this year because we're kind of like we've been stably running for 2+ years. So I think our product side is kind of like time proven and ready to be tested. So I think also the user experience is at least we don't receive negative feedbacks, like major negative feedbacks. So I think from the product end it's all good. So I think the main focus is still trying to bring liquidity for these we call it derivative assets, like derivative assets from BTC and ETH to on chain scenarios.
Gotcha. Thank you. Even though there's no like further roadmap in this month, we're still looking forward. We have a full whole year, going on. So definitely stay tuned on iZUMi as well. So Bitsmiley.
Yeah, sure. For our next step, we're definitely like trying to just making sure that everything is going to be perfect for our users, and then for them to use, ZetaChain as the platform, and then they can mint BitUSD on like Bitcoin native chain, and that's what we're trying to do for the next step. But also we're exploring other opportunities as well, so that we can really enhance our vision, expanding Bitcoin liquidities to like multiple chains. So we're still in negotiations with some other projects or chains, which for now I don't think I can share more information on that. But yeah, like that's pretty much our next step. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. So this is all of our questions we prepared, and thank you so much, all speakers, for really well saying a lot of like informative, thought provoking things that you guys shared. Really appreciate it. And also, thank you so much for all the listeners today on the stage. I feel like at the peak time we have more than 280 people on here in the space. So thank you all, and thank you for everyone who stayed until the last minute. So here is all the content providing for today. We're gonna take the screenshot, and later on I just send out the rewards. So all right, thank you so much, guys. Have have a good night or day. And thank you, all the speakers.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
Thanks.